And we're back. Hello, everybody. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I want to welcome you back to Heads Together. Uh, I am here. I'm Bonnie Low-Kramen, and I'm here with Jennifer Wilner, my assistant. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Bon. Hi, everybody.
We're back after a month being away, and I was so delighted to get so many messages from people saying, hey, Wednesdays aren't the same without Heads Together, which I loved getting. It was great, though. Part of this last month was going up to New Jersey, where I used to live, and Jen, you and I got to actually see each other in a room together.
Oh, it's life-changing.
What a concept, right?
What a concept. Yeah. Fantastic.
So you were busy during your month away. And welcome, Lynn. Welcome to the show. We're talking about our last month. What were you busy doing, Jen?
Hey, Karen. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Karen.
I was busy doing a little DIY project.
Oh, okay. What'd you do?
So to save some money, our staycation fund went into kind of cutting down our deck and building a patio. And I think I actually have a picture.
Oh, let's see. Let's see.
Hold on, guys, don't get scared. Here we go. Sorry, I meant to have this up so much sooner. So here's me hauling rocks.
That's you.
That's me. Yeah. So saving money and getting some sweat equity.
And some good exercise while you're at it, right?
Very good exercise. You are not kidding.
Good.
Not kidding. Yeah.
Well, part of this last month for me was to head up to New York, New Jersey, and to see the granddaughters. And also what ended up working out was to attend Olympia Dukakis's memorial in New York City. And I do want to talk about that some. But before I do, I am very excited that we have a special guest today. And she's been a guest on this show several times. The last time was in March during Women's History Month. Let's bring her on out. So let's say hi, Libby Moore. Hi, Libby.
So much for inviting me back. It's always so fun to be with you both.
Well, by popular demand, people were like, bring Libby back. We want to see her again. So, Libby, you and I, my goodness, we go back a long time, over 20 years. And I wanted to share my story about Olympia's memorial with you and Jen and our audience here, because it was pretty amazing what happened. Because of Olympia passed away on May 1st, but it took a few months to schedule the memorial because there were so many people who wanted to be involved. And welcome, Sharon. Hey, Sharon Summerfield, it's your birthday today. Welcome to the show. And hi, Emer in Ireland. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to ask Jen to put up a picture from last Sunday, August 8th. In New York City. That picture is of the Delacorte Theater in Central Park. Libby, have you ever been there?
I have not. No.
You haven't been there.
Not to that.
I admit that as much of a theater buff as I am, like this is the theater inside Central Park that is run by the Public Theater. It holds 1,600 people. And because of COVID, the family decided to hold the memorial in an outdoor venue because that made people feel more comfortable. Now, of course, we knew that it was taking a chance to do this outside because of the weather. And some of you might have seen my post on LinkedIn where the event was called from 6 to 8. And it actually went from 6 to 8:30, which these things are known to do, go longer. It steadily rained from 6 to 8:45. Yeah.
Wow.
Every assistant, I'm sure, listening to this is like, oh no, oh my gosh. Yeah, that happened. It was amazing. My app on my phone was 100% accurate. it said it was going to start like at 5:55, and it did like clockwork. What was interesting, so many things interesting. That photo, it wasn't torrential, but it was steady. And most people had umbrellas, but a lot of people didn't. We were supposed to have 350 people there. 250 people showed up. And, Olympia was older. It was like the demographics were older for this crowd. Although there were, a lot of younger people too, but 250 people sat there for 2.5 hours in the rain, honoring this person, honoring Olympia Dukakis. And that's a big 10-foot screen on the stage. And you can see how out in the open we were. It was like there was no hiding from the weather. It was so interesting. I want to just share something from, I spoke. I was one of the speakers, but there was such a through line, a theme of most of the speakers there. Because as I was sitting there and listening, everyone who spoke talked about how this knowing Olympia helped give us courage. She moved through life with such fierceness and a confidence and a certainty about her mission of being an artist that it was inspiring to all of us, me included. And it was so interesting how varied people said the same thing, that in knowing her, it helped us move through the world with courage and sometimes ferocity and confidence. I sat there and I thought to myself, what motivates 250 people, some who flew in from other places, to sit there and listen to why do we do it? And I sat there and honestly thought to myself, who would sit in the rain for me for 2.5 hours? I don't know, Lib, any thoughts about all this?
Well, I mean, you've already said it. It's just a testament to who she is, her spirit, her love for people, and people showed up to give that love back. It's so true to who she is. And you speak about her confidence and her courage and encouraging others. I would like to have like a pinky nail of what Olympia had, truly in my life, her confidence and courage.
So Jen, you can take the photo down now. Thank you so much. And before I go on, I want to thank everybody for joining on this call today and being here with our guest, Libby Moore. Libby, before we went on the air, we were talking about something else though that came up both at the memorial and with you too. Olympia's brother spoke, and his name is Apollo. And he talked about that even at 89. So you have this juxtaposition of this ferocity and this courage and confidence. And yet, even in her later years, there would be moments when he would say, you know what? You're just that little Greek girl from Lowell, Massachusetts. That she became a child again. And I know I could relate to that. Jen relates to that. What about you, Libby?
Absolutely. As I was just saying right before we went live, I was sharing something with Bonnie and Jen about something where I just said, well, I know that's not a real feeling, but that just came from the little 8-year-old within me. And we all have that. And you were saying, Bonnie, that you were watching the Aretha Franklin movie with Jennifer Hudson.
Respect. Yeah. Yes. It's great, by the way.
And that line in the movie was, what was it that you shared?
Yeah. I can't remember whether it was her abusive husband or her manager said, even at the height of her fame, he accused her and said, you know what, you're just that little girl, you're just that Ree from Detroit.
Yeah. Right. And that little girl in Aretha Franklin, and that little girl in Olympia Dukakis, and the little girl in me that I was just speaking of right now, 5 minutes ago, we all have that younger version of ourselves there. He never goes away. And the key is to embrace and love that part of ourselves and say, oh my God, it's okay. You're not 8 now, you're 55. Like, come on this journey. We can do this together.
Yeah.
So it never goes away. And the coaching that I do with people, it doesn't matter if it's a CEO, founder, president of a big international corporation, an intern, a mid-level, an assistant. It doesn't matter where you are. There's always that part of yourself that will pop up, and they'll pop up, when you're in that stressful point or that insecure point. So it's about just loving that part of ourself and learning how to integrate it into who we are today, but not be run by it, by your 8-year-old self.
Yeah. And that's really important to hear from someone like you who deals with executives on down. And you're going to tell us more about that, but that everybody's got it.
Everybody.
And I can attest that the coaching I do and the work I do, I think that is really a true statement.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who may not completely know Libby Moore is our guest today. And Libby and I have known each other for more than 20 years. Just going to tell everybody a little bit about Libby, especially those listening on the replay. We met through New York Celebrity Assistants when Libby tells how she started her career trying to be a comedy writer, and she fell into assisting. I knew her initially when she worked with Maury Povich, the talk show host, and then she transitioned into a role with Jan Wenner, the publisher of Rolling Stone magazine, and then she landed the job that most folks know her for, and that is that she's the former chief of staff to Oprah Winfrey. And we have bonded over the years on many things. One of the things we've bonded on is that in August of 2011, I left Olympia, and 2 weeks later, after 11 years of being with Oprah, she left Oprah Winfrey. And for both of us, it was a very kind of wrenching experience. And even though it was voluntary, and I remember we talked like every month. It felt like a mini support group, right, Libby?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad you're here again. You run a company called LoveX that you believe that there needs to be more love in business. And so I give you the floor. I would love to hear how your summer has been and what is compelling you these days.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again, old friend. It's actually been 30 years since I got that job with Maury. Exactly 30 years this month. I was 25 and I'm 55 now. So for those of you just starting out in your career that you think, oh, my job sucks, or, I'm a failure, I'm 25. Believe me, you've got plenty of time. I didn't even get the job with Oprah until I was 34. So you have plenty of time, and everything you're doing right now is informing and educating you. And it's an apprenticeship for what's coming down the line for you, big time. And I also want to give a shout out to NYCA, New York Celebrity Assistants. Bonnie was saying before we went live that the 25th anniversary is coming up in December.
Yeah.
And that was the vehicle of how I found out about that job, about the Oprah job. So meaning you've all heard the story before, that there's many layers to that story. And I'm a big believer in aligning with the universe to open yourself up to allow those opportunities to come in. And when it came in, it came through a member of NYCA, Trish Peters, and it went out to 100 assistants that were in the group at that time, and everybody had a shot at that chief of staff executive assistant to Oprah role. So many thanks to NYCA and all the Bonnie, past president and former presidents and future president of that organization. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just going to interject that, for everybody listening on this call, Libby's story is such a story. It's like the quintessential story of networking and the value of being in a group of colleagues. You just never know. You really just never know. And the highest achieving assistants I've met over the years, and Libby is certainly one of them, know the value of joining a group like New York Celebrity Assistants. I know we've got IAAP members on the call, and there is such value of being a part of the other people who do what you do, because you just never know.
100%. I could go on and on about that. And I also want to say that there's a dual thing happening here. So yes, networking is important. That tangible, what group am I going to get into and meet people? That tangible thing that we all know in business as networking. And what I do now in my coaching is about networking, internal spiritual networking with your higher self, God, source, universe, energy, nature, atoms, cells, whatever you want to call it, a la Ja, we could go on and on and on. That is what I'm super interested in now. So if you marry the hard skills of networking and getting in alignment with your higher self, that's where the magic happens. Because as you know, in the details of that story, it wasn't just that I was in that group, because my mom said 6 months earlier, why don't you send your resume to Oprah? And I just shut her down. But that was the universe speaking through my mother, because the person who had the job had left 1 month before my mom said that. And so 6 months went by, and then the opportunity came through NICA again. So I just want to make that very clear, because that's what I'm so passionate about. And that's where LoveX was born.
So tell us more about that, Libby.
Okay. So as most of you know the story, and Bonnie just mentioned, I left that job, that role in 2011. And then I moved out to LA to help on Super Soul Sunday. And then I took a year off and blah, 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 got my coaching certification. So when I moved back to New York in 2014, and then around 2 years later, I got into executive coaching. So life coaching, then got into executive coaching. And I really started thinking, like, this person I'm working with, who was a really toxic person. I think I did 4 sessions with them. And I'm just going to say, a person running a massive company, and really toxic individual. And I thought, is this even helping? Like, I'm not talking to his team members. I don't know. This person's reputation was really bad within the industry. And I just thought, why am I even doing this? So
and did you know he was toxic from session number 1?
Yes, for sure. And I'm, no one could ever guess who this person was, ever.
Why? Because we all think he's awesome?
No, just because I'm speaking in such general terms, it would be impossible for you to ever figure it out. So I started asking in my morning meditation and prayer, how do you coach a company as if it's an individual? And I want to go back to say, my meditation is simply just closing my eyes and trying to do 3 deep breaths and slow exhales in a row without my mind wandering. So usually by the first exhale, I'm like, oh, I forgot to do that thing, or, oh, I need to call that person. And then I'll just bring it back and try to do 3 in a row clearly, so that I can just clear out my mind. And I say that because so many people are like, oh, what kind of meditation do you do? Is it TM? Is it this? Is it that? And doesn't matter. That's all good stuff. And if you simply just close your eyes, deep breath, slow exhale, that is so powerful. So in my morning meditation, I started asking, how do you coach a company as if it's an individual? And the answer that came back surprised me. The answer was, you teach people how to love themselves. You teach people, you remind people how to love themselves, because we don't come out of the womb toxic, broken, mean people. We come out of the womb this clean slate, this beautiful ball of energy and love. And then based on our life circumstances from birth to 18, that molds us. If you have, whether it's an alcoholic parent or a abusive parent or parents who ignore you or no parents or whatever it is, there's so many traumas, big trauma and little traumas that happen that shape who we are. And the people raising you, their behavior based on their childhood and what they're modeling for you. So, and then we grow up thinking that's us. So that thought, inspiration, inspiration. How do you coach a company as if it's an individual? Teach people how to love themselves. And then I thought, oh, that makes sense. In that nanosecond, I thought that toxic guy, based on what he shared with me about his childhood and some really traumatic things that happened to him, is exactly why he's that way. And if he can learn to love himself in all these ways that we can do that, then his whole energy would shift. That energy ripples out to your team members, your company, the product, the clients, everything. And that's how you change the world or the company, by the inner transformation of the individual.
Dare I ask you if that transformation happened in him?
I do not know, because we had 4 calls and I don't know if he fired me or I fired him, but after 4 calls, that was insane. And I will also say, in the first call, because I'm being so open and honest about this for any of you that have your own business, at that time in my life, I needed that client. Financially, I thought, wow, it's a corporate client, and I need this as a part of my making ends meet. And so even though I always do an intro call to see if we're a good match, if energetically we're a good match, and if I feel like I can help the person achieve what they're looking to achieve. Sometimes I feel like, oh no, you need a business coach. That's not what I do. I'm not strategy and ROI and KPI. That's not me. But there's a lot of great people out there. So I knew in that intro call, do not work with this person, because I thought, well, I have to, because I need the money. I said yes. We did 4 calls, and it was worth every penny, because I learned such a big lesson in that. When other people like that have come along and I thought, ooh, this person, like, they just got divorced, they just got fired, they're losing their kids, they're losing their house, that's out of my area of expertise. I'm not the right person for that person. Mm-hmm. So instead of just saying yes to get another client, I would say, I wish I could help you, but I'm not the right person. I don't have the area of expertise of what I believe you need right now. Once you have the courage to say no, whether it's out of your comfort zone or the person's toxic and you simply can't or don't want to work with them, then something even better comes in, because you had the courage to say no to the money and what didn't feel right to you. So it opens it up for something much more powerful and appropriate to come to you.
Yeah. I have to say that in our Ultimate Assistant workshops, sometimes that question comes up, that and it's a safe space. So I get to ask if people will say if they have ever taken a job for money. And usually people have done at least one time in their careers. And most assistants say that it was a bad decision, to do anything just for the money. But I think most of us can relate to doing things just for the money, for sure.
Yes. And it goes without saying that there are times where we need to take a job to pay our bills.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
As basic as that.
As basic as that. Even after I was Maury's personal assistant, Maury Povich's personal assistant for 3 years, which was like 91 or 92 to 95 or something like that. After I left that job and I took another job at the USA Network, I got fired after 3 months because I was a terrible associate producer. And I wrote all my friends and said, hey, who needs a housekeeper? I need to pick up some gigs. So I was cleaning houses and went out to Orange, New Jersey to help a woman clean her storm windows and put them in the attic for the winter, whatever.
Wow.
So I worked on a Baby Ruth commercial, chopping, chocolate blocks. So this is after I was Maury's assistant, because I needed to make ends meet. In hindsight, when I look back, even cleaning the woman's windows in this big, I guess is like, what's that fancy part of New Jersey? Is it Orange, New Jersey, or like where all the mansions are? I don't know. It's like
Short Hills,
something like that. and even in that experience of a week of doing that with this woman, I learned so much. Every single job I've had has informed who I am today. The coaching that I do or the work I did with Oprah, everything informed it. Yeah.
So, Libby, let me ask you this question. We're living in a time right now where, staff expresses themselves like people are having whiplash, over the fact that some companies were going to go back into the office September 1, then like, oh, no, that's not happening. And so there's this new trend out there that some companies are creating a new position called Chief Resiliency Officer, that the word resilience is emerging as one of like the major buzzwords of 2021. And and I know you're very literal. You're a very literal person.
I am.
I know you are.
Proud of it.
Well, I think most great assistants, if you've had to do this, we have to take things literally. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. Resilience it helps us survive and adapt and bounce back in the face of disruptions, large and small. So that's supposedly what the definition of resilience is. What are you seeing may I ask, with your clients and with what you're seeing, because you're based in Vancouver, Canada. So from your side of the world, what are you seeing that our listeners could benefit from knowing about resilience and bouncing back and coping with the adversity, whatever it is that they're dealing with right now?
Well, what I've seen, and I do have clients, most of my clients, I would say, are in the US, a couple in Europe, and I think I have 2 clients here in Canada. So what I'm seeing with those people it's a mixture of things. Some people are really, really, and I would say one of like single people living at home that are in lockdown still in some cases, or they're just at home by themselves. There's no family, there's no kids, there's no pets. It's them. They're on Zoom every day it's really difficult for them. And I get why, and so I just want to reiterate, because I think we mentioned this in the last time we got together, is if you know someone like that you can reach out to, even if it's an older person living by themselves, and just text them or call and say, I was just thinking of you. How are you doing? That is so beneficial. You'll feel good, and it will definitely make them feel good to know they're not forgotten. Because when we come into the office, it's like, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? When you're at home by yourself, it's like, is anybody thinking of me? So that's really big if someone pops into your head right now that you're thinking of, please reach out to that person today. And I would say that some people have actually blossomed during this, which sounds a little counterintuitive. They've really relished being at home with their family. I know a couple people who went on maternity leave, and because the office hasn't opened up, and where normally they would be back in the office, they're so grateful to be with their baby still at home. I know other people that are probably even Heads Together, I think, came about during COVID. Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
So
definitely.
At one point, something popped into my mind while I was meditating or journaling, COVID. Write down what that would mean if it was an acronym for good, creating opportunities via inspirational divinity. So what comes from within? What can we create good out of this? And a lot of people have gone online. They've expanded their businesses. They've created new businesses. And some people go, you know what? I'm out of here. They've left their jobs and they decided I'm doing something totally different. Lots of virtual assistants now. Couldn't be a better time, my assistant, Jessica, lives in Cleveland, Ohio. We've never met in person. And she's been fantastic and really helped me a lot. So there's a lot of good things, and there's people struggling. And what I would say is that, again, I call this B2B. It's not business to business. It's back to basics. How, like in this moment right now, if I'm stressing out about COVID or work or being at home, what you can do is what you can do in this moment. And you want to disrupt that thought, so you don't spiral down into those negative thoughts that just become a snowball and get bigger and bigger, and it becomes so heavy it drags you down. So what you can do is, as a little simple exercise, catch yourself and I'm spinning again, I'm super anxious. That's your cue to go into the deep breaths, slow exhales. If you're by yourself, you can close your eyes and do 3 deep breaths in. Deep breath in through your nose, hold it at the top, 1001, 1002, and then a very slow exhale through your nose or your mouth while you just relax your shoulders on the way down. And I would love everyone to do that right now while I'm talking, so that you can get into the habit of doing it while you're on a webinar, in a conference, whatever. And
it always feels really good too.
Right. And why? Because physiologically what's happening is, when most of us know, when your brain is stressing, when you're feeling anxious, your brain is producing cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So I kind of imagine it like squirting out in my brain and going to my bloodstream.
That's quite an image. Okay.
Right. And then when you take the deep breaths and slow exhale, your body is telling your brain, we're safe, we're okay. So it turns off the release of cortisol. Your brain goes, oh, we're okay. Then we don't need the stress hormone. So it turns that chemical off. So you'll immediately feel better. That's what's happening physiologically. What else is happening that science hasn't been able to prove, and probably never will, is that I believe you are, through the breath, you are recalibrating and realigning your energy with a higher vibration, a higher frequency, a higher intelligence, God, source, universe, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. Let's not argue over what to call it. But that deep breath, slow exhale is aligning you and recalibrating you at a higher level. And from that clean, clear place, your mind is clear, and the thing to do next will pop in as an image, as a thought, as an idea. Or it might say, Bonnie, just get up and go take a walk outside. Look at the trees, look at the grass, take 3 deep breaths and come back in, and then handle that email. That's how it happens.
At this moment, I want to just share with everyone listening right now and on the call, please enter your questions, comments for Libby. I know Marie just had to leave. We're going to go for another half hour or so. We're going to end on the hour. So there's time for you to ask your questions of Libby, who has generously offered to answer them. Libby, I remember one of the lines you shared called, and Jen, you're going to put those up on the screen as they come in. Nature is the new corner office.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Talk to us about that a little bit.
So that actually came to me in 2012 when I was on the Libby Moore Gypsy Tour, 365 Days of Following My Heart. And my partner and I at the time rented this little cottage in Seattle on a lake. We knew 2 people there. We didn't know anyone in Seattle. And I just wanted to get out of LA. I wanted to get away from entertainment and all of that and just sit. And that's pretty much what I did. And then I went to Brazil and Hawaii and South Africa and traveled and saw my family and friends. And I was in nature so much, it just popped into my head one day, like, wow, nature is the new corner office. And now it couldn't be more true with COVID. I mean, if you have a laptop and your cell phone, most of us can do a lot of work with a laptop and cell phone. You could be anywhere where you can get a Wi-Fi signal and be doing your job and be in nature, or you're at home and you can go take a walk around the neighborhood. Or like, I live in Vancouver. I live in a little area called Kitsilano, and it's 10 minutes from this park called Pacific Spirit Park. It's gorgeous. I feel like I'm in the middle of the Tetons or the Rockies, like the trees. It's so stunning. And just a couple months ago, I was telling Bonnie, I was walking through there and the thought just kept coming, nature, wow, nature is the new corner office. Nature is the new corner office. And then what popped in is, and the truth is in the trees. And for those of you that really vibrate in nature, like you feel alive and you feel so refreshed, that is a sign to you to get back into nature. And I mean, you can Google this. Trees actually talk to each other vibrationally. That sounds probably wacky to a lot of you, but you can Google, do trees talk to each other, and check out the research on that. how when there's like a predator or something or a forest fire over here, through their root system and the water system, they literally communicate with each other. So there's so many, I could go on and on about that, but that's not what this is about today. And I want to jump into questions.
You spend a lot of time out in nature?
I don't spend a ton of time, but I try to get out every day. And we're going away next week, and we rented a little cottage on the water here in British Columbia, and it's gorgeous, and I just can't wait. I mean, you can look at snow-covered mountains just 3 blocks from where I am. So to me, that just lights me up.
Yeah. Jen, if you can put Heidi's question on the screen. Libby, I'd love for you to take a crack at this. How do you suggest communicating with your executive when you feel undervalued without jeopardizing your position?
And that's from Katie?
That's from Heidi.
Oh, Heidi. Okay. Heidi, so number one, in this moment right now, regardless how your boss makes you feel, he can only make you feel that way if there's a part of you that believes it. So from this moment right now, you know who you are. Take deep breaths, slow exhales while I'm talking, so you can really get into that higher self. And on a deep level that this is simply an opportunity for you to look at yourself and say, really, is that true? Like, am I not a valuable person? Like, he makes me feel that way. Is that true? And on some deep level, you will know that is not true. That's his own crap from childhood, because anybody who is secure and confident and just a loving person of themselves doesn't make people feel that way. And if you're someone on this call who you might think, oh, I think I treat people that way, then this is an opportunity for you to look at yourself, to say, where did this start? Who modeled this for me? And from this moment forward, how can I start bringing that love to myself so that I can be kinder to other people? So this is not a problem or a challenge. It's an opportunity for you to really understand and know who you are, which is a person of value. And before you log on, whether it's you go into the office or you log on to a Zoom call or however you go into the office every day, take your 3 deep breaths, slow exhales, and say, thank you. Thank you for flowing through me, for being my higher self, helping me to feel calm, cool, and confident, which is the intention I set before I had my interview with Oprah, by the way. Thank you for helping me feel calm, cool, and confident. And however I can be of service for the greater good, thank you for seeing with my eyes, listening with my ears, be my thoughts, speak with my voice, experience with my heart, walk in my shoes, guide me, direct me, protect me. Boom. You're like Wonder Woman. You're in it. And you put your shoulders back and you do your deep breathing, slow exhale, and you know who you are walking into that job. And no matter what he says to you, even if he's like, you're an effing idiot, take a deep breath, slow exhale, and you can just say to yourself, really? Internally, and to you. And then that's an opportunity to say, I'm sorry, that's not okay with me. And he will respect you for it. And even if he doesn't, you will respect yourself for it. And guess what? If you get fired because of speaking up for yourself, there's a better job waiting for you. I promise you. Call me if that happens. I will give you a free coaching session because I know that's the truth. And I just want to share this one thing. And Maury Povich, who I love, for so many reasons, I love him. I respect him so much. He was amazing to me when I worked with him. Early on in our working together, he was upset about something. Maybe it had something to do with his personal life. I ordered the wrong sandwich for lunch that day. He screamed and yelled, Libby, get in here, blah, 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 blah. And everyone in the bullpen could hear. And he's yelling at me about the sandwich. I said, well, we had our conversation, went back to my desk. After lunch, he left to go play golf. I called him in his car. Yeah. And I said, Maury, I just want to talk to you when you're alone, you're private. I said, I want you to know my parents never talk to me that way. My partner doesn't talk to me that way. My friends don't. And that's not okay with me. You cannot talk to me that way if you want me to work with you. And I feel bad for you because that doesn't make you look good in front of all these people in the office. So that's not okay with me. And he said, Libby, you know what? You are right. And I apologize. And that will not happen again. And it never happened again. And he respected me for that. So, and I respected myself for doing it. So
were you nervous? Were you nervous to do it, Lib?
Of course. I was like, oh no, he might be like, really? Then you're fired. So I understand. I can completely relate to your question. Yet you have to move past that fear. Do your deep breaths, slow exhales. I promise you that will help. And have the courage to do it. Even if your voice is shaking, do it for yourself. That's self-love.
And Jen, I'm not sure Heidi, Lib saw the reaction from Heidi, but apparently you have in those couple of minutes.
Oh, that's funny. No, I didn't. It's very, not only am I literal, but I can only do one thing at once. It's shocking my career of like 20 years. Thank God for excellent team members.
Well, she wrote, you've really helped her.
Great. Thank you. I'm so happy that helped. May I add one more thing? Because I just glanced and saw, Chris, you have an interview on Monday. I'm going to try this before. So in addition, this deep breath, slow exhale thing is so important. You can also say in that interview, before you talk to the person, let's say you're interviewing with Bonnie. So you do your deep breath, slow exhales and say, thank you for flowing through me and helping me to be my confident, cool, whatever words that come, self, my higher self, and whatever Bonnie needs to hear in this interview. Thank you for flowing from my heart to her heart. And whatever I need to hear in this interview, thank you for flowing from Bonnie's heart to my heart for the greater good of everyone concerned. And that's an intention you just set. And then you go into the interview, and I promise it's going to make a difference. These things sound so simple. And for those of you, some people will be like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Or that sounds silly. It's fine. You don't have to. If this doesn't resonate with you, delete it. It's not for you. But if this sounds like, that's interesting, try it. And I promise you, you're going to see a positive effect. It's consistent with people who do this.
Jen, can you put up Lynn's comment? You're helping people very much.
Oh, Lynn, I am so happy to hear that. I was going to give a shout out to you, and then we started talking. And
and then Jen, can you just put up Claudia's and then Karina's?
Deep breathing has brought joy to my life. Bonnie and Libby brought it into my life via Heads Together. Right on, Claudia. That makes me so happy.
Got to do this.
Karina, I have an interview today in a couple of hours, and I'm going to rock it. My intentions are set. Yes. I'm telling you, Karina, you get into the zone. That's what it is. The zone that there's tons of books written on. The deep breath, slow exhale will get you there. It will clear your head of all that anxiety. P.S. in this case, anxiety is just excitement. It's excitement.
Isn't that great? So, Libby, I know you're doing, you have a couple of corporate clients, and there are many people on the call who are with corporations. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about your intention. What would you like to do? How can you help the corporations who these folks work with in the coaching you do? Can you share that?
Yes. So going back to how LoveX started, when that came into my head, and I don't think that's an original thought. It's been around since the beginning of time, learning to love yourself. When you feel better, you do better, period. So if you feel better about yourself when you go into work, your work product, your team members, everything's going to be better. So what came in right after that was LoveX. And it came in as a visual image in my head, like the FedEx logo, love, with a big X on the end. And what I understood when I saw that was the X is exponential, meaning to the X power. If Bonnie, Jen, and I start doing this, which we kind of did a micro version of it before this conversation, when you're all vibrating, your intention is for the greater good of everyone concerned. For the greater good, all these people who are logging on and listening to this right now, thank you for speaking from our heart to their heart and from their heart to our heart, whatever we need to hear. For the greater good of everyone concerned. When you set the intention at that high vibration place, that higher frequency, higher intelligence, not only are you transforming yourself individually, but the more people you have doing it, the more powerful it is. So when you have a team of people or an entire company doing it, learning to love themselves, which means bringing in empathy towards yourself and others at work, self-respecting yourself, being kind to yourself, being aware of your thoughts and how they affect not only yourself and others. All those things are about love in your personal life and at work. When everyone's doing it, the whole company has the potential to change for the better from the inside out through the individual transformation of the work that each person is doing. That's where Love X came from. So love to the X power. The more people you have doing it, the more powerful it is. And to answer your question, Bonnie, what I am doing now with some companies and what I would love to do is to open up to more companies, a few, I don't have a lot of room, but maybe one or two teams or companies that are open to this innovative work. It's innovative because it's so basic. It's not complicated. You don't need to go to Harvard. You don't need to spend gazillions of dollars. You know, it is reminding you what you already know, that power that lies within you, and how to recalibrate and realign it with it. So when an individual or a team of individuals operate from a higher consciousness, that means the whole company's operating from a higher consciousness. And that ripples out to the consumers, the products, the world. And that changes the bottom line always for the better.
Well, I loved your description, how in one particular company that you're working with, you're not only working with the executives. Can you describe that? Like they get to sign up with, the whole staff gets to sign up for time with you. Right?
Yes. So this is Chobani, which many of you have heard of. The best yogurt. Oh my God. Right. And they're doing alternative dairy now. I'm vegan. You know, they have the best oat milk. I mean, they have probiotics, on and on and on. What's so amazing about this company is how they love and care about their people. So Hamdi Ulukaya, the founder, phenomenal. If you don't know anything about him, read about him. Phenomenal visionary. Grace Zunsick, the chief people officer there, she loves and cares about every single person in that company. And she gets what this is. So this is the, I think, third year I've been working with them. And they do something now where it's, you know, they have X number of calls, sessions. So we have something set up where it's a certain number of sessions a month. And the HR people team sends out an email to the company and says, okay, whoever wants a session with Libby this month, we have, 8 slots or 10 slots, whatever it is. And first come, first serve throughout the company. So that means, and it fills up. And then, you wait until the next month and hope to get a session if you want one. I've coached people at senior level roles, mid-level, intern, janitorial, maintenance people. That's what I love about that company. It's not like we're reserving this money for the top tier of our leadership team. It's, we love this company. This seems to be working. Go for it. Whoever wants a session can have it.
Yeah.
That is innovative. That is new paradigm, that you care about everybody.
So 3 years in, have there been some surprising things that have happened as a result of the coaching you're doing?
Well, I can, it's like, I don't want to, there's,
I guess without too much specificity, right?
Yeah. Like in general, I just had a call with someone this morning from Chobani, and I felt so lit up talking to this woman. We had a session 3 months ago. What she's done in 3 months in her personal life, which then ripples out into your professional life. That's the whole thing. It's not just work, you know? And that's the other thing. They're like, whatever I say, look, if it's in someone's best interest that they want to leave, then I support them in that. And that can only be in your best interest because it opens up a space for new energy to come in and take you to another level. That's how energy works. And they get it. They get this. So, but this woman who's simply been working on the deep breath, slow exhales, this is in 3 months. She does gratitude every morning. She writes down in her gratitude journal what she's grateful for. And at the end, she releases all energies that are not hers, and she calls her energy back. It's a little exercise that she does. I mean, she is doing so well. And sometimes I kind of tear up and start to cry on the cards because I'm so happy for them. Again, it's not brain surgery. It's simple exercises that when you do them consistently, you energetically see the results of that. Right. So this woman this morning, and then, it's not anyway, if you read about them, there's all kinds of good things coming up for them that I don't
that's
feel comfortable
awesome.
talking about.
Yeah, so win-win. It ends up like, the good energy, positive breathe, positive, and all of that good stuff.
Yes.
So your website is libbymore.com.
Yes.
Pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so people on the call can contact you best through the website, Libby?
Yes, that is the best way. I would say I'm on Instagram, but I haven't even posted in 6 months, and I'm thinking about closing that anyway. It's an experiment. I'm always experimenting. I was like, what if I'm just not on anything? I just have a website. And shout out to Maggie Jacobs. I just saw her pop on.
Hi, Maggie.
Yes, we love Maggie. And shout out to Beth from Maryland, from Frederick, Maryland. I know she was on the last time too, and I'm a Maryland girl. So
yeah. So, well, as we're winding down, everybody on the call is welcome to put in your last minute comments, questions for Libby. We have a few more minutes with her. Libby, do you have any hot tips on binge watching? Anything you've been?
This is what I would say. I'm what I binge watched. We finished Schitt's Creek the second time. It's even funnier the second time. You go, wow, I didn't miss it. I didn't catch that the first time. The writing is so on point. Ted Lasso, we just finished. We're a little behind the times on that.
Love it.
Man, so good. If that guy isn't the perfect example, that character of bringing love back into business. Love X is about bringing love back.
And there have been articles written about how leaders, what leaders can learn from Ted Lasso.
100%. And as you know, Bonnie, it's those leaders that are going to survive. I mean, Jack Ma, the co-founder of Alibaba, I love this guy. I mean, he is about LQ, the love quotient, bringing the energy of love into work. He was saying, yes, you need IQ and EQ to be successful, but if you want to last as a business, if you want to last for the next 30 years and be really long-term success, you must bring love in, which is about caring about your people. And I think the last time I checked, the Alibaba group is worth about 900 billion US dollars. So the co-founder of Alibaba is saying that. I think we can all say, okay, let's try it within our team, even if we're 3 people, or within our company.
So, because you often hear, well, if you're too nice, you can't possibly be profitable. And that is so not true.
That is so tired and old paradigm. Can you see me trying to manage myself on that?
Yeah.
That way of thinking, those businesses are going to crumble. I guarantee you, it is about caring for your team member, your people. It's what Hamdi's doing with his team. Those are the companies that are going to survive. I guarantee you. Look 4 or 5 years from now.
So, back to Heidi Call's comment, it sounds, Heidi, like your company could benefit from Libby for sure, and certainly your leaders could benefit from having more love in the organization. It is so short-sighted for leaders to dismiss the power of the people who they painstakingly hired in the first place.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me that is the case, but there it is.
Can I add something there, Bonnie?
Of course.
Okay. Really quickly, I wanted to add that people misconstrue what love means because Hollywood has made it into this romantic thing. Like, oh, that means you're in romantic love with someone. And work is like, oh, don't mention the word love. That might be in our sexual harassment, blah, blah, blah. Love is about kindness to yourself and others. It's about empathy. It's about caring. That's really what this is. So the deep breath, slow exhale, for example, is about realigning with the love within yourself. And because energy, we're all vibrational beings. We're all atom cells and molecules. It's vibrating. That's called energy. And the whole world, we live in an electromagnetic field of energy. Everything is a vibration. So love raises the vibration. And that's why people are attracted to that energy, that positive, confident, light energy. So if no one in your company or on your team is doing it, you be the light that walks into the room and let it spread from there.
Love, love, love. Well, we're going to wind this down. Libby, so great always. And I'm just going to ask you right now, will you come back again?
Of course, always.
And Wilda
Thank you.
Bennett's on the call. Wilda
Wilda.
from ACPA out in LA.
Hi, Wilda. We're in the same time zone.
Blast from the past. So hang in there. Oh, yeah. Terry saying you're so calming.
Oh, thank you,
Libby.
Terry.
Indeed, you are. Well, as we wind down, I want to let everybody know, and Libby, hang in there with me. Next Wednesday, we are going to have another guest. The topic is going to be money, managing money, smart ways to deal with money. Given what's happening in the economy and just salaries, and we're going to talk about all of it next Wednesday with our guest on Heads Together, Wednesday at 3:00. I want everybody to know that we still have some seats available. We are going to be in Houston, where Be the Ultimate Assistant is going to Houston, September 22, 23, 24. We are going to be in person, and we still have some seats available. We'd love for you to consider being with us. BeTheUltimateAssistant.com. We're going to be in Colorado Springs on November 10, 11, and 12 if you are interested in that. And then, of course, there's always Be the Ultimate Assistant on demand. Vicki Sokol-Evans and her technology training is more important than ever before. So busy making sure that we are expert at the soft skills of communication and our relationships that we're now having to manage virtually, and the hard skills of technology and all the aspects of that these days, which are increasing by the day. So with that, any last thoughts, Libby, before we depart?
Thank you for having me on again. I appreciate it. I love you. I love everybody who showed up, and go out and spread the love. There's nothing better you could do right now.
Yes, I couldn't say it
It's
better.
needed.
Thank you, Libby Moore. Thank you, Jen Wilner. And thank all of our viewers for being here with us. Thanks for finding us again. We are back. We're going to continue wrestling, tackling, taking on the issues that are facing us each and every day. So have a great rest of the week, and we will see you next time. Have a great week.
Bye.